morning, everybody. What's up? Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Liz, your host here at Crimes Untold. I know I missed day one of Crimes on Pride. I know I've been super busy. Not like YouTube busy. I've been super like life busy. Um, and I took like a miniature break for me, for my kids, birthdays, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, just to spend time together because it is the end of the school year. So things are kind of hectic, lots of dance stuff, gymnastics, all of the above. But yeah, if you're new here, I'm Liz. I'm your host. I talk about true crime here on this channel. I also have another channel, which is my like it's a homemaking channel. I'll put it in a card above. I had some person ask about it. I'll just put it in a card. I also, the video that's going live today on that channel, I also put a card for this channel on it as well. So if you're from over there, hey, what's up? You see my face again. I talk about some spooky stuff over here. If you haven't gone over there, mom life. I also want to address something. I know that I pronounced eklutna wrong. You have to understand, I made that video 2+ years ago. So when I see something, I pronounce it the way I see it. And not all the time do I look at how you pronounce certain things in certain regions. I live in New England. We say it like we see it. A lot of people don't say things the way that we say them. A lot of like the towns in Massachusetts, I'm from Massachusetts, a lot of people don't say them the way you actually are supposed to. Like Worcester, Gloucester. A lot of people will say Gloucester or Worcester or Worcester or Gloucester. Now, so I just wanted to preface that, not to come off as like an angry person, just wanted to say that. What I want to talk about today is Richard von Hohenberg and kind of the history of laws against homosexuality. Kind of weird, but I thought it was really intriguing because I have never actually seen somebody talk about this stuff here on YouTube. And for it to be such a taboo in certain countries, for me it's really strange. But um so dating back as far as I have my notebook in front of me, so that's, if I look down, that's why. Dating back as early as 1075 BCE, there's different laws, and these are Assyrian laws. I'll put what Assyrian is on the screen for you guys. And basically, this law says if a man lay with his neighbor when they have prosecuted him and convicted him, they shall lie with him and turn him into a eunuch. If you don't know what a eunuch is somebody that has been castrated. So they can't fully feel the euphoria of ejaculating. They can't. Or they will be punishable by like death post being a eunuch. It's a lot of, I knew this one was going to be kind of hard to talk about, but because there's a lot of countries where it's still illegal, very illegal for you to be open about your sexuality. Um, and it's still punishable by death, which is really kind of alarming. Looking back at a lot of things that are obviously on the internet, they're widespread on the internet. A lot of the countries that have anti-homosexuality acts or laws against homosexuality or punishable by death, a lot of them are either in the Middle East, Africa, yeah, Middle East and Africa, which is it's sad, but mostly a lot of the laws have to do with homosexual acts with minors or homosexuality in public, just certain things like that. And it's not just male, it's male and female that it covers, or those who identify as male, those who identify as female, or any persons that commits a homosexual act or a act between them and a person of the same parts. We'll say that. Hopefully that makes sense. Not to offend anybody. I know this is LGBTQIA plus awareness month and Pride month, but it's due to how PC everybody is, it's very hard to actually say certain gender identity specifics because some person's going to get offended by it. There also was a Republican Roman law, Lex Skaten. That's the name of it. I'll put a thing for it on the screen as well so you can see it. Basically, this law, it penalized. So basically, what this law said is that a there would be a penalty for an adult male for stuprum against a underage male. So this law didn't have any crimes committed, like recorded, which is strange. But this law was also used to arrest people that were committing same-sex acts as payment for things. So basically, using they used this law as a way to get those that were using the intended act of, but using it as a payment for something. So basically, they were prostituting themselves for things, and yeah, no, that didn't fly with Roman law. Under Christian rule, pain of death would be used as punishment for um, male same-sex activities. That's also not I am a religious person, but I'm not going to touch that. Um, there's a lot of very older rules against this. So Constance and Constantinus ruled the same-sex marriage illegal in 342 BCE or 342 CE. In 390 CE, the act of homosexual sex was ruled illegal by Theodosius the First and Valentinian the Second. Those who were caught would be publicly condemned to death by burning after prosecution. And this also was a rule that was put in by Arcadius as well. Those who identified as homosexuals would be blamed for like different issues as well by Justinian the First, such as pestilence, famines, earthquakes, the most outrageous things. People that would identify as being homosexual in the time would be blamed for them. Basically, they were a scapegoat for things happening in the world. Kind of like what happened with the Salem witch trials, but totally different concept. The earliest record of an execution was in 1277 in Basel. Lord Haspipurch was burned for sodomy. So he was a German Swiss aristocrat that was condemned by Rudolf the First for sodomy. This quite possibly was motivated politically, but it's kind of unknown. And before we get into Richard von Hohenberg, I have a few more. Like I actually wrote down quite a bit of people that were burned to death for homosexuality. There's Giovanni di Giovanni. He lived between 1350 and 1365. Yes, he was 15. He was castrated and burned in the genital region over a court order in Florence for him committing sodomy acts. Jacques Chasson, 1618 to 1661, so he was older. He was a French writer that was burned to death. Yeah, he was burned to death for the accusal of a man trying to, like, him seducing this man's, like, son. So basically, he was burned to death because this dude said he was trying to seduce my son and I'm a nobleman, so that's why yeah. Um, Another thing is that there is the Buggery Act of 1533, which is sodomy and bestiality. They combined them together, and that they were punishable by death. But the last executions under this law took place in 1835. This law was changed in 1861. Another sore subject I wanted to kind of bring up is that the Holocaust. Obviously, we know that mainly it was those that identify as being Jewish. But homosexuals and gender non-conforming humans were also targeted as well, along with those of, Jewish descent that identify as being Jewish, and handicapped humans. The handicapped and homosexuals and gender non-conforming humans and African Americans they oftentimes are not spoken about when it comes to retelling of the Holocaust. So that's another importance that a lot of people need to realize, that it's not just about those who identify as being Jewish. Yes, it's that has been overly, not like overly publicized, but more or less taught about. But it's also the other three group, well, technically four groups of people that also go along in the Holocaust that were targeted as well. So, still as of 2023, there's 63 countries that consider it illegal for consensual acts of sex among same-sex individuals, and 53 of those still consider it an act punishable by death. This blew my mind when I read that. Blew it. Like, people just want to be free and live their lives. Like, let them, just let them live their lives. So, the biggest subject of this is about a man who died. It's super quick, super simple, just a nice intro into Pride Crimes Month. So, Richard von Hohenberg, or Richard Polar von Graf Hohenberg, or Chevalier de Hohenberg. He's got a lot of different titles. So he was born back in 1454 and he died on the 24th of September, 1482. We know this for a fact because of his death date. He was burned to death. He was a notable Swiss nobleman and a knight. It was known that he had relations with his servants. He was charged with sodomy. He was burned. He was part of the burning of the sodomites. There's an image. Hopefully, I could put it on the screen. If not, I'll put a link for it in the description box below. There's an image that was created. They don't know who made it, but it was made in 1483, the year after he was burned to death. And it depicts the burning of Richard von Hohenberg and his servant, and his servant's name is Anton Matzler. This is in front of the walls of the kingdom. And they were burned in front of the walls of the kingdom due to the charges of sodomy. So at this time, homosexuals and homosexualities were forbidden, and it was against the law. They mostly would, if you were of notable descent, you were stripped of everything, and then sometimes they were outcasted. But if they felt it was somebody that really affected the day to day of their civilization, other than making them a eunuch because of them being a nobleman, they were burned to death or they were punished to death. And most of the time, their servants were just punished to death because they were a nobody. It was somebody they could just simply silence. I wanted to cover this history of laws against homosexuality and just briefly talking about a few of these because, man, it's really sad that people can't be who they want to be and they get burned for it. So that, my friends, is day one of Pride's on Crime Month. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next one.